last month, I read your novella, The House That Burns, which is also the debut story in the ongoing Price Manor series. Give me a little run through about how this all came about. And since each entry will be written by a different author, did you feel any pressure on making sure the first one was strong?
Oh yeah. First of all, do you want me just to act like you're not part of this? like come on. Like
there are
you're
other
part of
people
this.
listening besides just me. So yes.
Yeah, like I don't remember what it was. I think somebody in the group posted a book that they just read, and somebody brought up the fact that it's like part of a series with like that a lot of authors are just doing, and they're not connected, but it's like a series of like animals gone crazy or some shit. I don't remember the scenario. And we started talking about it, and it ended up morphing into a, hey, let's do our own thing. Like we all like there, you have Gloom Publishing, and then there's all these other, like everybody has their own little label they put on the back of their book, Nerdy Wordsmith and all this stuff. And I think we all came together and decided we wanted to have our own stamp. Like we could include the other stamp, but we also wanted something that says these are all together. Like we're all a family together. We all support these books, So we had DHC, Deadline Horror Collective, kind of spawn off that, and that was fun. It kind of just everybody spitballing, throwing ideas at the wall. Nick at the time, who eventually became somebody that died, he carried an awesome logo, and we just had something that we could all put on the back of our books, and then we all got kind of workshopping an idea of like, what could we do as a group to kind of, put on with DHC, and the idea eventually morphed into, I think it started as an anthology, and then it turned into from an anthology to, well, let's each do a book or a novella, and they're all sequels to each other. And then it was really fun. It was like a solid month of us all just throwing shit up the wall and see what stuck. Everybody came with their pitches, and then somebody pitched, what about a haunted house? And the haunted house is, every entry is going to be somebody else's journey into this haunted house. And I think the very first flaw in that was everybody was kind of like, okay, yeah, but how many books could we get in that before people are like, don't go in that house that's burnt to the ground? So then it evolved into what it is now by finding ways around that. And that was really fun because like I'm used to working in like a little vacuum where I'm like, I have my wife who I bounce ideas off of, and she's like, that's stupid, don't do that. But we all would throw something out there and we'd be like, okay, well, let's tweak it here. And then we'd pitch something else. And it just morphed into this fun thing where it's like every story, it has hints and it feels like they belong. Like I read Jamie's and I'm like, you can tell it belongs, but Jamie has a different writing style, and his characters, they talk differently, and everything is different, but the same. Like you can tell they exist together, but on the peripheral, it's not the point of the story. It's just a device for everybody to tell their own version of the story. And I fucking love it. Like I read all your guys' books, and I feel like everybody has their own way of writing, and mine is very punchy, and I don't spend a lot of time like describing, and I don't spend a lot of time using, the sources. I don't use long words. I just go. And so mine feels very amateur comparatively because mine's not as polished as a lot of your guys' writing is. I try to pump out, a couple books a year, and that requires me to write every night, and I don't spend a lot of time when I'm writing making sure that it's elegant, and if something sounds good, it's because it just sounded good in the moment and when I was writing it. It was not plotted, it was not reworked. I very rarely go back and polish a sentence, and a lot of you guys obviously take your time with your craft, and it kind of felt like when I was accidentally nominated to be the first one to do these books, it felt like a lot of fucking pressure because like, man, I don't see me being the one to kind of lead this charge and telling the story, but it made the most sense when we all broke it down. Like a lot of these stories don't take place in modern day, and we kind of needed that story to catapult the rest of it and needed to explain it. And I wanted to put enough mysteries in it that everybody else can kind of have their fun answering, but we needed to have a modern day take to kickstart it, and it made sense, and so I went with it. It was a lot of pressure though. I remember Jamie and I talked a lot. I threw a lot of things to the group, and I'm like, give me Easter eggs, give me things that you would like included, and I tried. It was tough. I think it was the most fun I've ever had writing one of my books, but it was definitely the most challenging because on the back of my head is always like, if this doesn't do well, nobody else will, and that not okay. Everybody else could do well on their own because they all stand alone, but this would definitely help us all out if the first one does well. So it was definitely a task, a little bit of pressure. So it is what it is, but it was fun. I enjoyed it, and I definitely have plans to do a sequel. So
Yeah, it has been really fun, and watching it grow and seeing us get organized and in terms of our planning. And it's interesting because there's a lot of give and take. On one hand, it is organized. There are certain things that need to stay the
kind
same.
of, yeah, it needs to
There
be
are certain
consistent.
rules that need to be followed in terms of the house and whatnot. But at the same time, like you said, we all as authors, we have different styles, we have different
Yeah,
likes, we have different strengths. And so the ability from the start, we decided that, hey, this house, it can change its location and it can change the time in which it's
yeah,
located. And so it's sort of a time traveling, geographically moving haunted
fucked house.
house.
Yeah,
And that is really cool. But then we also decided that the house is going to change how it looks on the inside, but at the same time, there are certain pieces of furniture, there are certain characters, objects that are recurring. And
yeah, you'll
so,
see them consistently.
yeah, and those little Easter eggs, I love it because most franchises do that, whether it's Halloween,
Yeah,
whether it's Star Wars, whether it's the Marvel universe, there are all of these Easter eggs. And so while a lot of these films are standalones, you can just watch the one movie and you can learn a lot and you can get what's going on, and it's fine. But if you have read the others, if you have watched the others in that series, in that universe, then there are things that are going to jump out to you and it's going to be very rewarding. Like, oh, I
yeah, it's like a
remember
little
that
treat.
character.
Yeah,
I remember
I
that
fucking hated
object.
that character. Oh yeah, that thing sucked. Yeah, so it's gonna be fun. I really am looking forward to getting everybody else's.